Hi there, I'm Sam Neffendorf, and I guide people to understand the root cause of their health symptoms so that they can realize what they can do to heal themselves and also improve other areas of their life as a result. So today I'm really delighted to be joined by Julie, who I've been working with for the last couple of months, and she's very kindly agreed to come on and talk about her experiences and her healing journey. So, hi Julie, how are you doing?
Hello, good morning.
So great, yeah, thanks very much for joining us here today. So, yeah, just like to ask you first of all, what was it that caused you to decide to book in with me?
So a friend of mine who knows Sam posted a link, one of Sam's links on Facebook, and it was about his work he'd done previously with the previous client on rheumatoid arthritis, which is something I've been suffering from for about 18 months. And I'm currently on a number of drugs, and I felt like as an autoimmune disease, I wanted to address potentially other healing paradigms. So yeah, I contacted Sam and we had a session, and I felt that it was something I definitely wanted to try so that I could avoid taking the medication that I'm taking.
Great. Okay. And what was happening in your life at the time that you decided this? Of course, you've shared some of that already, but yeah, anything else that was relevant?
Yeah. So I mean, it's the rheumatoid arthritis is only a recent thing, so it's within the last 18 months, and I've sort of been a relatively sort of fit person, and I was sort of struggling with having numerous medical issues in the last few years, including bloating from food intolerances, other autoimmune um, disease, and an EOP. So there were lots of things going on medically, and I wanted to try and get back to health, really. So yeah, so that's medically, yeah, physically, that's what was been going on in my life.
Okay. And how did you feel about having this all going on? How was life for you with these going on that you weren't used to?
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those things. It's like the frog in the pan of cold water. You know, you turn it up slowly. It's like you don't really appreciate just how much these things are affecting your life because it happens quite gradually. But I did feel like I wasn't myself. You know, like I said, I was a relatively fit person, and I struggled with sort of eating certain foods and so diet, and just felt quite low as a result of it all. Um, and that's partly because of the IBS. It can affect mood, and it was making me struggle to achieve things in my life that I wanted to be able to get on with. So it was important. Um, yeah, it was important to try and sort this stuff out.
Absolutely. And had you tried anything before that you came to me?
So I'm seeing a rheumatologist, and I'm on a number of different medications to uh, to suppress the immune response, to reduce the inflammation. And I didn't feel that that was necessarily the right approach. The fact that there is no known cause of autoimmune, or they don't know what the cause of the autoimmune response, makes me wonder that whether there are other things I could be doing. I looked at diet, so reducing anti-inflammatory foods, but that seemed to have little effect. And in fact, it was only the steroids that I'm taking that seemed to have been keeping the impact of the inflammation under control. So yeah,
And
so
that's not
that's
sustainable, is it, over the long term?
no, no. I mean, they've been trying to get me off the steroids for months, and whenever I do, the inflammation was coming back. So I wanted to try something else that would actually address the underlying issues. So
Cool. Yeah. And it's really interesting what you said about them not understanding the root cause, because that's the case with so many symptoms that people experience. They can be very well diagnosed, and there are some excellent symptom treatments to deal with things at the time, but they're not addressing the root cause. It's so yeah, absolutely getting a diagnosis, working with the symptom treatments that are available, some of them very good, is really, yeah, that's often the first step most people take, of course. But then when it comes to finding the root cause, then that's looking somewhere else, effectively, which was where things that we did came in. So yeah, with that in mind, how would you describe the entire experience of working with me?
Oh, big question.
Yeah, it is a biggie.
Well, it was interesting. I'd heard about tapping before and had a little go, but didn't fully appreciate what it could and couldn't do. But I really liked the idea of exploring the mind-body connection, and the idea that we store a lot of disease in our cells, but it's created from our mind, our emotions. And so I really like the idea of exploring the link between emotional trauma and disease. And it was great to go and explore some of those experiences, going right back to sort of early childhood. And they were things that nothing came up that I didn't already remember. So nothing was new, but obviously we explored it in a way that allowed me to help the person that I was at that time. And I guess part of the trauma is that you don't have always the emotional support that you need at that time, which is hence what creates the intense feelings. And to be able to go back and be a mother to that child, or a friend or a support, to be there was very healing. And so I really liked the different processes that Sam used, including I think it was matrix reimprinting, as well as the tapping. And there was another one I can't remember the name of, but I'm sure you'll mention it in a minute. But so I found each session dealing with a different physical symptom, different memories, all of them really helped not only to address some of the physical symptoms, but I felt more myself afterwards. I felt like I was, it wasn't just physical. The results weren't just physical. They also felt like my confidence was boosted, and I was more myself after them.
Excellent. And was it a funny question, because we're obviously dealing with healing and some things that are affecting in a serious way, but how did you find that the sessions were in some way fun sometimes as well, or was it always heavy and serious?
It was a mix. It was a whole range of emotions, really. Obviously it was sad, but also very happy, and just to be able to reconnect. And the way that you talked about or guided me through the sessions was very it was done with a very light touch, and so I felt very safe and supported, and able to talk about things that you wouldn't necessarily share even with your closest friends and family. So that was lovely. And it was a very emotional experience, but it always ended in a very positive positive way.
And okay, so so that's that was the process. And how do you feel now after the 7 sessions that we did together?
Well, in terms of my rheumatoid arthritis, the swelling has gone down significantly, and I had part way through the sessions, I did actually change the drug regime, but we'd already noticed a significant reduction in the swelling before that change, so that was good to know. And yeah, I just feel, so that's been really, really positive, and I want to explore that more and to see whether, as I come off the drugs, whether I can use the techniques that we've used during the sessions and continue to basically become drug free. So that's my aim. I don't really like having to take immunosuppressant drugs to treat something that may or may not, be treating the cause of the problems. I'm looking forward to reducing the rheumatoid, the swelling, from the bloating from the IBS, and using these techniques to heal other other symptoms or issues.
Okay, great. And how about any areas of your life, when you think about it now, things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I've got big, huge life changes coming up. And so that's partly why I did this, the timing of it now, in addition to the physical stuff with the rheumatoid arthritis. I wanted to be able to clear some of these issues so that I can start a new life, really. I'm basically changing careers. I'm just finishing a long period of study. I've left a job that I've been in off and on for over 30 years and changing industries. So there's big changes coming up. So I'm looking forward to being more confident, more authentic, and just having the courage to make the right choices going forward. And that's really, really important. And I felt like I needed something to help me be the person I need, that be my true self, my authentic self, so that I can go forward and make the right choices. And I really think that doing this process has been significant in helping me prepare for that.
That's great, because people, when we're looking at healing, they're always thinking about the past and what they need to heal from the past, but there's the bringing in the future as well, and the new way of being is a really important part of actually the emotional and psychological healing aspect. So yeah, just you talked about the symptoms, the physical symptoms, and the how you're feeling about the future, but yeah, just was curious if there was any emotional differences that you've noticed that you would be able to share with us.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about that aspect of it when we were doing the sessions, because we were focusing more on the results of the physical symptoms, but obviously you're dealing with emotional trauma. So as a result of our sessions, even from the first one, I felt calmer, less emotional. I've generally been sort of quite an emotional person, and I've just felt a lot calmer. The emotions don't surface as much. Just feel able to deal with situations better. One little side effect, which I'm going to use the repeats of the sessions to look at, is that I think the emotions have been sort of suppressing an underlying sort of impatience and anger and frustration with family members, relationships. But I think that was probably always there, but it was just swamped by the emotions and the reactions to our, the issues in our relationship. So it's almost like the work has revealed other things that maybe need to be dealt with in the future. But I'm hoping that with the techniques we've used, I can work with that, and maybe the new emotions that have come up are things that are necessary. So that's been really interesting. But to be able to say that I feel so much calmer and more confident has been a big benefit.
Beautiful, thanks. And yeah, that's really important, that thing about layers of emotions coming up, because suppressed stuff is all, of course, part of what causes the body to start developing symptoms. And when you're actually able to express those emotions more fully, they've all got a purpose, even if they don't necessarily feel great at the time. So yeah, the emotional freedom techniques, EFT, aren't about getting rid of emotions. It's actually about connecting. A big part of it is about connecting to emotions that you have been hiding and pushing down, feeling them, and then doing whatever's needed to let them be released and flow. So yeah, there's layers, and the good thing about knowing these techniques is you become more resilient and able to resolve and release them in the right way. So that's all good to hear. Okay, great. So what would you say to people who are putting off dealing with this sort of stuff, with either their physical or psychological problems and frustrations in their life?
Well, for me, I mean, I think about sort of the negative self-talk, which is one of the issues that I've been dealing with for years, and I recently sort of realized the amount of time, hours, hours, days, weeks, possibly months, worrying or stressing or getting upset by issues in relationships, or and I just think the amount of time I've potentially wasted, not what, I've just spent too much time on these things, and actually I've had enough. And we only have one life. I just want to get on and clear all of that stuff, put it behind me, learn from it and put it behind me, and get on with my life, free of the past, basically. And I felt like I didn't want to waste any more time with that. And I think it's important, like I say, this was an important time for me. I want to move forward clear of all that and able to make the right decisions. And if you've got a lot of old stuff that's clouding your judgment, your emotions, it's really important to put all that in the past, I think, and deal with it, so that I don't think there's, why wait? Why wait? Because the only time you've got is now. So it's good to get on with it.
Absolutely, no time like the present for
Exactly.
that kind of thing. Can you let us know about the physical symptoms of the arthritis and how they were and what happened?
So it basically started with a swelling and a pain in my left wrists, and initially progressed to my knees and my feet. I was initially treated with steroids to help reducing the pain, but the swelling got worse. It then went onto my right wrist as well, and into my knuckles and some of the fingers on both hands, more in the left hand than the right. And basically, I've been put on these different drugs, but they seem to, even though they're quite strong immunosuppressants, they weren't really keeping the swelling under control. And until very recently, I mean, it would vary week on week, but I was still experiencing swelling and pain in the wrists, knuckles and fingers up until very recently, and that's despite being on these drugs for 18 months. And so I've been increasing, and I've been trying to decrease the steroid dose, and then I've had to increase it again, just to try and keep the swelling under control. And and then since working with Sam, we noticed an almost immediate reduction in the swelling. I have a lump on my left wrist, which has been there since the beginning, which is a leaking of synovial fluid into the hand. And within a day or so, that had reduced, and to the point where it was sort of half the size that it was, and the swelling in the joint, knuckles and fingers had reduced as well.
So what do you think was the most important thing for you in the successes that you achieved in these sessions?
I think the most important thing was fully recognizing and having techniques to self-heal. So be able to do this stuff, obviously with Sam's guidance in these sessions, it's been really great, but it's something potentially that I can take forward and use myself, and deal with, potentially future issues. And just just seeing the results happening so quickly, it's been very, very helpful, dealing with a range of different issues, physical and emotional. So the scope of it has been very good, and I just, to have this these techniques going forward is going to be so beneficial.
Great. Yeah, that's a really important part, is it's the taking responsibility yourself, because it's all self-healing, and that's something people should understand, that it's not that I'm doing any healing or anything like that. It's the self-healing potential of people's own body and mind and energy and emotional systems, that if you take charge, start using these techniques with guidance, but gradually you become more and more the master of your own body and what it's doing, and realizing that it's telling you things rather than punishing you or whatever it is, and actually what you can do using to release the emotions, to release the belief systems and the physical symptoms, then that's really, really powerful. So yeah, thanks very much for sharing all of that. Really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you would just like to say? Anything else that comes to mind following that? That's all right.
Well, I just think, it's been such useful sessions, and working with you and doing the guidance, and just being able to deal with things that have been around for decades, to be able to do the work and make significant changes has been so helpful. And I'm just really looking forward to being healthier, healing, not physically and emotionally. So it's been really, really important for me to do this work, and I'm just so glad that I had the opportunity to do it now.
Great. And I think that you also mentioned that you are now talking with the doctor about reducing the steroids as well. Is that right?
Yeah. So as a result of the recent success, they're working on taking me off the steroids. I'm hoping to come off all the other drugs except for the new one, but certainly the steroids are the thing first, because being on steroids long term is not a good thing, and that's something the medical profession recognizes, and they've obviously been trying to get me off the steroids for months. So we can start doing that, and I'm hoping that this time I won't get a second flare-up, which is what happened before.
Okay, so did the work that we did in these sessions and the results live up to your hopes and expectations for them?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know fully what to expect. But what I was really looking for was something that dealt with the mind-body connection rather than the sort of the medical approach of just um, healing the symptoms. And I really wanted something that dealt with that mind-body connection. And I really felt that, yeah, the process went above and beyond what I could imagine the results were. I didn't expect to feel so much more, so much better after the sessions, um, emotionally as much as physically. So it was, yeah, it was great to have my expectations exceeded, really.
Okay, great. So thanks very much for sharing your story with us today, Julie. It's really appreciated. And I just want to let anyone know that's watching this that if you are curious about what your symptoms, whether it's for arthritis or any other health condition, might mean, and start putting together a plan for your own self-healing, then you can book a free conscious discovery call for me via my calendar, which is at the link below. And yeah, I'd be very happy to spend half an hour or so with you discussing all of that. So that's it. Thanks again so much, Julie, and bye for
You're
now.
welcome. Bye.
Cheers.